Hey, what's up, everybody? Chris here, and I'm giving you my thoughts on Dune Part 2. Just left the theater, just got home a few minutes ago. The whole family went, actually. Even my 9-year-old, who last night decided, you know what, I want to watch the first movie. We all sat down together and watched it as a family, and he loved it. And I wasn't really sure that was going to be the case, especially because it's a little bit longer, and his attention span, at 9, understandably, is maybe not the best, but he really enjoyed it, so he wanted to see it with us. So we all went and saw it. It was a packed theater, and we really had a lot of fun. It's rare, I feel like, these days to get that kind of movie experience. The most recent movie that I can remember was a totally packed out showing would be Avengers Endgame, I think. Now, obviously, this is not the same kind of viewing experience as that, where you have people cheering and that sort of stuff. But anyway, great movie-going experience. And so this is going to be a spoiler-free review, just to kind of offer my general thoughts, because there were sky-high expectations for this film. The first movie did really, really well. Is probably, I think, the best kind of epic sci-fi that I've seen in the past 10 years, maybe. Anything that this director does, I'm all about. Blade Runner 2049, I think he also did Arrival. All those movies are great, and I love the first Dune. So the question is, does this live up to the hype? And the short answer is, yeah, it does. But it's a different type of movie than the first movie, and I don't think that it's completely flawless, but it does a lot of things really well. I think from the jump, one of the first things it does well is that it's not scared to develop exposition and to let this world breathe a little bit. I think a lot of movies nowadays really want to jump right into the action and kind of moving, and they really kind of want to move the plot along at a clip that sometimes is a little bit too breakneck. This one sort of, leans into the world of Arrakis, the world of Dune, and the characters that inhabit that world. And this movie has sort of a big job in that it has to bring in a bunch of new characters, and Christopher Walken steps into this film. And what I would say is it's a big part or a big role in the movie, but his screen time is sort of minimal, I would say, just in comparison to the rest of the cast. But anyway, he's the emperor of sort of the Imperium that exists in this universe. And so he plays an important role, but you've got Florence Pugh coming in as his daughter. And one of the best things about the movie, and I wouldn't say this is necessarily a spoiler. I mean, it is a little bit of a plot detail. So if you want to go in completely blind, maybe step away from the review and then come back to it just a little bit. But I think one of the best things about this is how it really kind of gives you a sense of what Fremen lives are like. But there's this whole scene that kind of builds up to Paul riding a sandworm, and it is just excellent. It's just one of those kind of movie-going moments where you feel like you were right there. I saw this in what's called an RPX screen at my local Regal Cinema. I mean, the sound was basically shaking the seat. It was so loud, which is what I would want from that type of experience. But it feels like you're almost on the verge of getting sand blasted in your face in that moment. And so that kind of stuff is awesome. I mean, visually, it probably comes as no surprise that this is just an expertly crafted film from top to bottom. Everybody plays their roles super well. I would say there is one plot point. I'm not going to spoil anything here, but there is one plot point that I feel like is glossed over just a little bit too quickly. And I would have loved just like an extra line or two to kind of bring out an understanding of why a certain character is there. I'm not going to talk about that yet. Maybe I'll do a spoiler review at some point, but when you see it, you might know what I'm talking about. But anyway, everything, again, is handled really well. Now, chatting with my wife about the movie afterwards, she said she thought that it was a little bit too slow in the beginning, but I think it does a good job of picking up, pretty quickly after where we left off with the first film and kind of easing us into what's going on politically in the world of Dune, or in the universe of Dune as a story. And so I like the build-up, and I think it ends in a way that really sets up some probably very cool stuff for the third movie. Some obviously, kind of plot-shattering things that and just big ideas that sort of will come to fruition. And the stakes are majorly high here. And I think the thing that I like the most about this movie, and again, not having read the novel, so as a sci-fi fan, I probably need to have my card revoked because I have not read Dune. I've tried a couple of times, just have not been able to fully get into the book itself. But I like that I didn't really have I wasn't able to fully predict where the plot was going to go. There were some things that happened in this that I would not have called, and I think it's a better movie for it. It feels like, you're being sort of swept along in this story, and anything can happen. And that's really what's cool about it. And I would say at its core, really what this is about, and the first movie kind of sets this up, it's a movie about religious fanaticism, right? And maybe in some ways the good side of faith, in some ways the extremism that might come along with that, and sort of the negatives associated with it. But there's just all kinds of great stuff that happens here. It's really teeing up, I think, a great conclusion. As I understand it, there are only going to be 3 of these movies that are going to be part of this set, this trilogy that's being developed. But it's really setting up some great stuff for the conclusion. So yes, I liked it. If you're a fan of the first film, go see it. We don't get heady, brainy sci-fi, epic sci-fi of this scale very often and done this well. So go support this movie, right? If you love that sort of thing, even if you don't think it's a perfect movie, go support it, because it does things that I think a lot of modern films are a little bit scared to do, and I really, really love it because of that. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Dune Part 2. If you've seen it, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll check back in soon.